Yes.
Because Rich, you're weaving in an architect station too.
We're gonna have a presentation from CEN Connect. They are high-end, reliable internet providers with all the solutions, so let's see what they can tell us today.
Good morning. So I see, it looks like you're presenting on your side, so we'll let you know when next slide comes along. Is that right?
Yeah, sounds good.
Okay, okay. Good morning and thank you for having us and welcome to CEN Connect, where connectivity builds community. I am Wendy Rigo, CEN Members Services Specialist. Been with CEN for 18 years, so I've met and know a lot of you. And I'm joined today by fellow Member Services team member, Rachel Collard. Next slide. CEN is presenting a shortened version of our presentation due to time constraints. So feel free to join us at our upcoming webinars to hear more. Rachel will be letting you know when those are toward the end of our presentation. So I am rushing through these because I know we only have about 5 to 7 minutes. So I apologize for that. Just a quick overview of what CEN is. CEN has been around for over 20 years and was originally created as the first research and education network in the country to build fiber to every doorstep of every public K-12 in the state. It is state-owned fiber optical network, and we have grown over the years to now include open access members, meaning anyone can join if they want to build to the network. As you can see by the bubbles below, we service towns, libraries, public safety, higher eds, K-12s, and state agencies. A full list of our members is on our website. So it's just a brief overview. Next slide. As a program overview, many of the towns and libraries in your COG are already connected to CEN for fiber internet. But today I'm here to make you aware of a program we're calling CEN Connect that utilizes ARPA funds. CEN is very excited to announce that we have received nearly $74 million in funds for this program. I'm happy to forward you the governor's announcement about the program if you haven't seen it. But this program will have 3 components as described here. The first being the next gen infrastructure piece, where we will upgrade the network to a 400 gig network by 2026. We will be increasing capacity, which will set us up for the next 20 years. We will also be increasing our handoff speeds from 1 gig to 10 gig for each connection. The next piece, which is why I'm here today, is the free fiber build constructions to any town hall or town buildings, libraries, and COGs, as well as charter school buildings that are not currently connected to CEN. The last component, which will be open to everyone, is $10 million in the community Wi-Fi grant program. And this is grant-based. It will have a grant-based application, and it will be focused on communities in need to help them with their outdoor Wi-Fi activities. Next slide. I will be showing you a list of who is eligible in the next slide, but here is an overview. Today we serve 69% of the town halls, and we also serve 76% of the libraries. For COGs, we serve 3 out of the 6 that are eligible. And for charter schools, we serve half of the charter schools. This program will remove barriers to getting connected. It will provide direct funding for fiber builds to CEN as a primary internet service provider or as a secondary for additional resiliency. This program ensures broadband equality equal access to premium internet and network services across the state, and it helps close the digital divide. It's dedicated internet access. There's no caps, no throttling, no shared bandwidth like with regular cable providers. You're getting the fiber, no charges for bursting to meet your short-term needs and growth. Basically, no nonsense. It also adheres to the net neutrality to ensure unfettered access to internet content. We have a 24/7 NOC. We have security. We have 24/7 DDoS, which is distributed denial of service, monitoring and mitigations. So you're protected in every situation. We're also cloud friendly. We're directly connected to all of the major cloud providers, Amazon, Google, Microsoft, Oracle. And we also help with aggregation purchasing and scaled pricing for consortium agreements. Next slide, please. All the entities listed on this slide are eligible for this program. I just want to point out again that it is not only the town hall, but other town buildings and libraries that are eligible. Southbury, Thomaston, and Woodbury are currently connected through to us through the Public Safety Data Network. And those three are also eligible for a replacement circuit over to a CEN point of presence instead of a Public Safety Data Network point of presence. A full list of the already connected entities are on the next slide. Next slide, please. Here is a list, a quick view of the towns and the libraries in the COG region that are already connected to CEN. And as you can see, there's quite a few. And we'll be getting these slides out for a deeper dive if you want to see if your name's on that list. On this slide, we're going to detail, next slide, please. Sorry. On this slide, we're going to detail the cost. CEN is investing $90,000 for each fiber build to your organization's doorstep, which is grant covered 100%. The financial obligation from each organization is for the bandwidth commitment tier, and which is your usage, and the fiber maintenance cost of $35 a month. Each organization will receive a 1 gig or a 10 gig handoff. There's no data caps, and you select a bandwidth commitment tier that reflects your expected usage. Most of the libraries and municipalities subscribe to the lowest bandwidth tier, which is 25 meg, again, with full burstability to the 1 gig handoff and no overages. And within 2 years, we'll have all of those handoffs up to 10 gig, as I mentioned earlier. You will have real-time access to your bandwidth usage graphs, and members are evaluated annually to determine if usage warrants a bandwidth increase. So we assess members 6 months in advance so that you can plan for next year's budget. But typically, libraries and town halls stay within the 25 meg range. But again, you have full burstability to the handoff speed. So you could get connected for basically $158 a month. And now I'll pass it over to Rachel, who will wrap it up and tell us how to take advantage of this great opportunity.
Thank you, Wendy. As she mentioned, the process is very simple with very few steps. CEN is handling all of the procurement and onboarding and providing one-on-one guidance throughout the entire process. The timeline for fiber builds can range anywhere between 5 and 6 months, depending on whether or not you need pole licensing. You will get to know everyone on the CEN team throughout the process. We have a very small community and organization. We work very closely with everyone. Community is very important to us, and in that vein, we hope to meet you at the CEN member conference on May 8th and 9th at the Connecticut Convention Center in Hartford. And we also host many events and trainings throughout the year for CEN members. Next slide, please. These slides will be sent out to you. The member services team consists of myself, Paul Tarsa, and Wendy Rigo. Please feel free to reach out to any of us to set up a one-on-one meeting. And we hope to see you there. Thank you very much for having, I'm sorry, my notes just vanished. So thank you very much for your time today. We do have a webinar coming up on February 22nd and March 13th that will be more detailed, and these slides will be sent out to you as well. Please let us know if you have any questions.
Yes, we're happy to take questions now, although I know you don't have a lot of time for questions, so up to you guys.
All right, any questions? Last call for questions. Okay, Rachel, Wendy, thank you very much for your presentation, and are you gonna send us all this electronically?
Yes,
We
we
will.
already sent those yesterday, and so you should have them as a PDF. If for some reason they didn't come through due to size, just let us know. But thank you so much for having us today.
All right, thank you very much.
They came here and we'll send it out.
All right, we'll have Mayor Loretti lead us to the pledge of allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, roll call.
Okay. City of Ansonia, Sheila O'Malley, alternate.
Present.
Beacon Falls, First Selectman Gerald Smith.
Here.
Bethlehem, First Selectman Story. He's
Here.
on the line. Bristol, Mayor Caggiano.
Here.
Town of Cheshire, Andrew Martelli, alternate.
Here.
City of Derby, Mayor DiMartino is on the line.
Here, thank you.
Middlebury, First Selectman Ed St. John.
Here.
Naugatuck, Mayor Hess.
Here.
Oxford, First Selectman Temple.
Here.
Plymouth, Mayor Kilduff.
Here.
Town of Prospect, Mayor Chatfield.
Here.
Town of Seymour, First Selectwoman Dragonis is on the line.
Here.
City of Shelton, Mayor Loretti.
Here.
Town of Southbury, First Selectman Manville is on the line.
Here.
Town of Thomaston, First Selectman
Here.
Home. City of Waterbury, we're joined by Judy Mancini, proxy.
Here.
Thank you. Town of Watertown, Mark Ramio
Here.
on the line. Town of Walkett, Mayor Dunn indicated he would not be able to make it today. And then Town of Woodbury, First Selectwoman Perkinson is on the line.
Here.
And Mr. Chairman, we are also joined by Jameson Polk from Senator Murphy's office, Mangini from Congresswoman DeLauro's office, as well as Kevin Tedesco from the CTDOT.
Okay, thank you. All right, at this time, we will entertain public comment. Is there anyone live or on Zoom that would like to make public comment? All right, last call for public comment. Hearing none, we'll go to item 3, CNVMPO meeting, TIP amendments. Kevin Ellis.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Good morning, everyone. So these 3 TIP amendments are 3 different projects, all related to the current Mixed Master Rehabilitation Project. This is new and additional funding, which you can see attached in your packet. The first project is for rehabbing an I-84 eastbound bridge going over I-84 westbound on Route 8 and the Naugatuck River. The second project is for another bridge of 84 eastbound going over I-84 westbound Route 8 and the Naugatuck River. And the third project is for rehabbing of various bridges along Route 8 in the Mixed Master. Again, this is all for the current Mixed Master project, not for the new mixed project, which will be occurring in the next several decades. So as you can see in the screen, the recommendation is to move and adopt this motion. I'll take any questions.
Move to accept.
Second.
All right, second from Plymouth. Any questions for Kevin? Any discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Okay, we'll go now to 2025-2028 tip development. Rich Donovan.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chair. So there's no action required on this today, but I wanted to give you all an update on the process and schedule. As you know, the tip, as we've been amending it, is for federal fiscal years 2021 to 2024, meaning it will end on September 30th of this year. And so the departments and the MPOs across the state are in the process of developing the new tips and STIP for the 2025 to 2028 federal fiscal years. And so what that's going to look like here for the CNVMPO, we intend to make the full listing of projects available through the Eco Interactive platform, as well as on the NVCOG website on March 1st, which will be the beginning of a public comment period. In addition to that will be the bridge reports, the safety reports, air quality conformity, and other documentation required to go along with the tip. We intend to hold our first public meeting regarding all of these documents on March 7th. That meeting will be hybrid, take place here in the NVCOG office as well as virtually. It'll be recorded and made available via the NVCOG YouTube page for anybody who misses that date. We'll then hold several public comment periods on these on the documents. The first will be at the CNVMPO meeting scheduled for March 15th. The second will be at the NVCOG TTAC meeting scheduled on April 3rd. And the last will be at the CNVMPO meeting scheduled for April 16th. And on April 16th, we will ask the board to consider and vote on the new tip. That gives us time for the new tip to be transmitted up to the state, for them to compile the statewide transportation improvement program and get FHWA approval prior to the October 1st start date. Just as a reminder, you know, as the MPO, we have, or you all have the say on every federal dollar that gets spent. And so the adoption of the new tip and the process of amending the tip is a really critical way to exercise some local control over how federal money is programmed in the area.
All right, questions for Rich? Okay, Rich, let's have a raise grant update.
Yeah, I'm actually gonna let Mark talk about this one.
As we had talked about last month, the NVCOG is going to be applying for RAISE grant under USDOT. It's a very competitive discretionary program offered by DOT, and the intent is to finish up design of sections of the Naugatuck River Greenway between Naugatuck and Thomaston, about a 16-mile section, and we have about 6-7 miles that haven't been designed at all. We're going to finish up the design. We're planning on submitting that application sometime next week. The narrative is pretty much completed. Drew has been reaching out to our state delegation, federal delegation, and other groups for support letters. We're still waiting for some of our federal delegation representatives to provide some support letters. But that's in the works, and we're hoping to get all those together to submit by sometime next week. Deadline is February 28th, but we usually like to try to go a week ahead, so in case there's any issues, we have some time to adjust. And the total ask for federal dollars is 5.1 million for a total project of 6.6. And we're using an innovative financing approach for the non-federal share. A number of sections in this corridor have received rec trails money from the state deed, and we're going to apply that or take credit for that as the non-federal share. So we're not going to be asking the host communities for any financial support at this time. And the other part of this is a number of those sections that have received rec trails money, that money may not be sufficient to do the design. So this project would actually supplement and try to get everything done. We have a full 16-mile section completely designed, ready to go out to construction, out to bid, once construction dollars are identified and made available. So we think it's a very interesting project. I think it's compelling. We're making a good case. And so we're hoping, that USDOT will look favorably on it. And I don't think I've missed anything. Any of the deadline for submittal, like I said, end of February. by statute, by legislation, USDOT has to make an announcement of award by the end of June. So a lot of times we submit these applications and it takes forever to hear back. But this one, they are obligated to let us know by the end of June. So we'll know by then if if we are successful or not. But like I said, it's been I think it's an interesting project, and yeah, I think we have a good opportunity to get awarded and we can answer any question. We haven't made the narrative available to everyone yet, but we can do that. It's pretty much done. We wanted to wait until it was all put together so we can.
I'd like to see it before we talk.
Yeah, I sent a copy to Danielle.
Okay.
So she's been reviewing it, but I haven't given her.
She made her comments, yeah?
I haven't gotten any, but she did say that she thought it was really, thought it looked good, from the initial draft, so, but we will send out the draft, final draft narrative, when today, sometime when we get it done.
The only thing I would note is that in my past experience, there's an element of politics to raise grants.
Big
So when you
politics.
say we don't have our federal people on board yet, I think that's the most critical part, getting them to push it.
And Drew has been, taking the lead on that. He's sent out some requests and we'll follow up today.
Would you need any help, furthering those requests?
I don't think so. I think, some of the
Did you say
representatives
Lou
are
Mangini is
online.
here?
Yeah, some of them are online, so.
Lou Mangini here? He was announced as being
sir.
president. All right, well, we'll take care of this, after the meeting, at our next meeting.
Absolutely.
Okay.
If I may
any
add, we do
questions
have,
from Mark?
I don't have anything on the race grant, but I have a question. I go back to the meeting we had in your old office when you were up on next to Green Funeral Home. You remember you
Yeah, I
were
do.
up there?
I do.
When you talked about greenways and you were using Middlebury as a model for building.
Yeah.
Well, the model is well built. Our problem now is we're doubling back on 8 miles of heavy maintenance. This greenway is now 20 years old. And signage is dated, everything is done, and it's a very expensive undertaking. Not part of a race grant, but I'm asking the region, especially for the towns that have existing greenways that wouldn't fall under this. I tried to apply under the state grant process. It's so complicated that to fill it all out, and the cost of retaining consulting engineers to do all of this would far exceed probably what we're gonna get for a grant out of them. So, smaller communities that have already built greenways, we're not looking for any raise money, we're not looking for any of that, but I can't speak for the town of Cheshire, but any of you people that built greenways in the early days, of which we didn't have any grants, we did it on our own. But these greenways now are in desperate need of maintenance and updating, and anything that the COG could do to help us in that process of developing some model grant processes for us smaller communities. Ed, have you experienced the same thing? The cost is just horrendous.
Well, we don't really have any sections at this
Well,
point, so
we
it's
got,
not
I
our
got
problem. Yeah.
these big
Yeah.
piles of it, and there's always, we've been staying up with it, but the signage and everything is always proper at the times, all dated now, it needs work. And this is very expensive to do, and I'd like to stay in tune with the times, so if we could somehow, Mark, kind of get your staff to kind of put together some boilerplate kind of applications and stuff to fill out to apply for these things, could be so helpful.
So I totally agree with you. I would add that in Naugatuck, we just received a grant to plan the next section of our greenway. So very helpful that we don't have to pay those funds, but Naugatuck being a small city, we have more resources than Waterbury. Maybe we're the same as Bristol, I don't know, but big cities, small cities have a much better shot at these applications, so.
And
I
that's where we
sympathize.
need help.
We need
We're in
help.
we're in two different worlds here.
Yeah,
We're not a distressed community, and I don't want anybody to think that we are. There's times I get distressed.
We all.
Community in general is not distressed. So that puts us handicapped at that point in time. But these are greenways that are used by, I'll tell you what, I think our greenway is used. And to any of you people that built them that think there's no maintenance associated with those greenways, you're sadly mistaken, boy.
Just to respond, Mr. Chair, Christine may be able to help
Yeah.
out a little bit on that.
I will be, we have an agenda item later, but I'm happy to explain now. So for Selectman St. John, are you saying that you were aware of and already applied for the CT Deep Rec
No.
grants?
Christine, no, we did not apply for anything because I looked at the grant process for the state. This was through the state
Right,
program.
yes.
Christine, the grant process is, the whole application is mind-boggling. We would have been required to hire consulting engineers. The cost of the consulting engineers probably would have exceeded our request for the grant. So this is where we need some help. The bigger communities are in most cases are probably well-staffed, but the small towns in our region don't have those facilities. We have to use outside engineering assistance. The state doesn't want to hear some has-been like myself signing off on a grant that probably knows more about it than they do, but that's beside
And
the
I
point.
think that's where the COGS come in, because, definitely, maintenance is one of the available, options that you can apply for with this rec trails grant. And I can say that Aaron is extremely, I think there are people at the table who Aaron has written a grant on their behalf through this program. So, we are more than willing to assist you with that. Let's meet offline about this, because I would love to help Middlebury with
But
that.
the big thing is that it's something that as these greenways grow older, is what I'm talking about. We need to be continuously looking for those communities to reach out to those and provide a viable program to cover this maintenance. I look at the city of Waterbury's greenway here. Wait till 2 or 3 years and you deal with the vandalism.
Oh, we have it
all
now.
these
We've already had it.
Wood structures and all this
People hit
other
the
stuff.
fences.
You have no idea of what the expense is gonna be of this. When you
Starting
can
to
put
get
all
a
the
feeling.
cameras, we built ours so it's publicly visible from the road.
Right.
So our police department can drive up all the time and watch, see what's going on. In a city where you have these things, your maintenance is gonna be staggering. What's gonna happen is people will stop using it because it will become quickly unsafe. And these are the areas where the smaller communities need some real assistance
Yeah,
to keep these okay.
Yeah, we'll
Okay.
talk to you.
Christine, that's where I'm coming from.
Yeah.
kind of.
no, I
Yeah,
appreciate
and
that.
we're here and we'll give you a hand, because, the CT Rec Trails program that Christine was talking about is open now, and, we'll definitely help you go through the whole process and come up with a project, that, meets what you're trying to get done.
We'll be glad to work with you.
Yeah, so we'll do that.
Item 4, minutes, 1/19/24. Can we have a motion?
So moved.
We have
We got a second.
something from Thomaston. Any questions or discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstentions? Financial report,
Mr. Chairman, Mike is running very late.
you want to defer until later?
He asked if we could defer until later in the
Okay. Communications. Where's Desiree?
Right here.
Got promoted.
Yeah, Mr. Chair, and good morning, everyone. Just a quick update for the board, no action required. I know, like the Super Bowl this past weekend, I know you guys love to tune in to what we do here collectively at NVCOG. And I know it truly saddens you to not be able to be with us in the municipalities for every ribbon cutting, to celebrate every grant, and see what we do behind the scenes on a day-to-day. But fret not, because now you can catch up and see what we did all last year in the 2024 NVCOG annual report, which is now available to not only you, but to the public. So this covers everything that we did in the 2023 calendar year. It is now available on the NVCOG website at nvcogct.gov under who we are and under annual reports. It's the first at the top of the list, shiny and brand new. And it can also be accessed by just going to publications at the top of our website banner. So I strongly encourage you guys to take a look. It is very comprehensive, very graphically beautiful, and it's a light, easy read. And it also features a letter or remarks from your former board chair. So it's on the table for you to take a look, take a gander, keep your interest. And I would love for you guys to.
And if, just to let you know, if anybody wants hard copies, we're more than happy to make some available. So you can have it at the town hall, city hall, library, whatever, just let us know, we'll get some, printed.
Okay. Mark, director's report.
Yeah, I just, I won't do, Rick normally does for his report. But just to mention that he is in DC this week with the, National Association Conference. And he's also spending time to meet with our federal delegation to go over, priorities for the region. So that's what he's been, doing. Weather looked real nice down there. We sent some photographs, but he should be back next week and, but, he takes an opportunity to go down to NARC, to make sure, to meet with the delegation and talk about.
We had to be talking about the weather, not the political climate then.
Right. The other thing I want to just mention, we do have the parking, permits for on-street parking. If for anybody who hasn't picked theirs up yet, I have them available, so, just, I don't know. But,
Let's see. Anyone in there for Shelton or?
oh, yeah, I didn't notice that. I just realized on the back there are names, so yes, I will double check. Anyway.
There you go. I gotta run out and use it now.
Then the only other item, is, Rick asked if, we could adjust the agenda to add an item that, he'd like to have brought up.
All right, so the item on the board, termination of assignment of lease, that Mark will explain. We first need a motion to add it to the agenda.
Moved. Second.
Okay, any discussion?
None.
All those in favor?
Aye.
All right, so we now have on the agenda, Mark, termination of assignment of lease, Main Street, Derby.
Yeah, basically, Derby Shelton Station is, I may get it wrong, but I believe it's owned by the city, or it's owned by the state, leased to the city of Derby, and Derby assigned the lease to VCOG way back in the day, and then VCOG took over that lease obligation when we merged. The state is in the process of renovating the building and the station area. And a lot of that renovation is dealing with asbestos removal, lead removal. And Rick wants to terminate the lease to, lessen our liability as the leaseholder of the property. The city of Derby had intended to sort of take up that action at their last Board of Alderman meeting, which they didn't, they submitted it to a
If I
committee.
can, so they did address the issue, they will be revisiting it at their next
Yeah.
meeting. But so in the meantime, as the department finalizes their design plans for the building itself, they are prepared to go in and start remediation of lead paint and asbestos. As you all know, the NVCOG has held this assignment for many years. We've not used the building in many years, but we do continue to pay for maintenance, for utilities, and we are liable for the building itself. And so, before the department begins any work, we would like to, end our affiliation with it.
And basically, we're holding up sort of the project until we do sort of terminate the lease. So that's the short reason for this action, and the motion would just be to endorse or move to.
I endorse movement of termination leaves of the Derby train station.
Second from Bristol. Any questions? Discussion? All those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Abstention? Motion carries.
Thank you. And that'd be all.
That's your report? All right.
I just, again, I know Rick usually talks about legislative update and session, but Drew's going to carry that in
All right.
the next item.
All right, item 8, Municipal Services, Drew.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. I'm not bringing up the caboose this week, this month. First of all, I want to recognize my counterpart on our legislative team. If you could stand, Jack De Oliveira, who is joining us today in person.
From Naugatuck, Connecticut.
I thought you might say that. Jack,
gonna hold that against them.
so Jack technically serves on our transportation team with Rick and Mark and others. But based on his prior work as a legislative aide in Hartford, he's available to all of us and all of you for legislative research and tracking, and really has been a wealth of information for our whole team. As most of you probably know, the short legislative session started last Wednesday, February 7th, and will end on May 8th. Through the initial committee meetings and by virtue of comments made by the governor and the House and Senate leadership at COST's annual meeting, which some of you were attended, it sounds like housing will continue to be a priority issue. It does not sound like there'll be any movement on the motor vehicle tax and no major municipal solid waste in the short session. However, we do expect the Environment Committee to explore and opt out for the sale of nip bottles, option for your own individual communities, as well as EPR of batteries and some other worthwhile environmental initiatives. Per the board's request, our legislative team had requested information regarding regional fire schools, specifically the one in Cheshire, but we have yet to hear back from the area legislators. We will continue to update the board via email once information comes our way on that item. A very interesting final point for our purposes, Governor Lamont's legislative priorities include a shared services proposal to assist municipalities in improving efficiencies and reducing costs. House Bill 5056 enables municipalities to enter into voluntary regional consolidation agreements or arrangements and interlocal agreements, excluding the stipulation of wages, hours, and other conditions of employment. This addition allows any group of collective bargaining units to establish a coalition collective bargaining unit. And additionally, the bill permits a regional council of governments to make joint appointments or commissions in lieu of any required individual municipal appointment or commission. Municipal functions that may be voluntarily regionalized under this bill include, but are not limited to, the following administrative, planning, and regulatory activities: fair rent commissions, fair housing commissions, land bank authorities, zoning enforcement officers, plan of conservation and development, affordable housing plan, tax collector, local emergency medical services plan, animal control officer, licensing of dogs, inland wetlands agencies, and building officials. So those are all, I think, applicable to quite a few of us at this table, and we'll continue. But not limited to, correct?
Not limited
to, correct. There's gonna be more, and again, this is just the governor's initial
Right.
proposal. It'll go through the legislature. They'll make whatever tweaks and changes, and there will be a public hearing on that as well. Of course, we're very early in the session, but we'll keep the board up to date on that. I'll probably do what I did last session and send you an email fairly regularly if there's anything I think may interest you, even if there's public hearings you may want to testify. The public hearings are going to be ramping up in the next week or so. So if there's anything relevant to the region or on the municipal level, I'll be sure to let you know. That's it for legislative. Are there any questions?
So another hot budget, hot line item up there, right now is on education funding.
Correct.
The governor's proposal is not particularly well received by us in the municipal level. I know at CCM, we disagree. Having spoken to Representative Curry myself yesterday at a meeting we had up there, he's not inclined to rob Peter to pay Paul either, to take care of the legislative funding. His commitment, I'm not saying he'll achieve it, he's not saying he'll achieve it, but his commitment is to fully fund that which they are committed to. So wherein it's not 100% of anything, as we know, and particularly as we talk about education cost sharing as results of special education, there's a lower limit level, and I'm not certain what it is. I think it's somewhere in the, well, I think it varies depending upon each town. So he's trying, one of his objectives is anyways, again, instead of stealing money from ECS to pay for childcare, early development childcare, or stealing money elsewhere to pay for this aspect, he's looking to raise the funding in some manner to at least fully meet the commitment that they previously made.
Correct. And Speaker Ritter said actually almost identical, same thing at cost.
Glad to hear
So
that.
I think that's probably the way it's gonna go, but we'll wait and see.
And I've heard some, and I happened to hear on my way up there from Comptroller Sean Scanlon, some similar thoughts that, his thought actually was, he said, I believe in our large, our multi-billion dollar budget or $1 billion budget, whatever it is, there has to be some places we can find money to take care of these things. Because, his own contention is that there's some areas there, I don't want to put words in his mouth, some areas there that could be trimmed to find the funding to take care of the critical needs.
Correct.
Let's hope he's correct and the legislature sees it that way as well.
You mentioned through the chair, if you don't mind, through the motor vehicle tax, and they're not gonna do anything with the motor vehicle tax, and I don't know how many people are 1 year post reval like we are, but we lowered our mill rate below the 32.46. One of the things for everybody else to say is we probably shouldn't have done that. We kept the motor vehicle at 30.35, and because of that lost revenue, but it's not really revenue, right? It was supplementation that the state guaranteed that they keep us whole on that. So for us, it turned out to be a $3.2 million cliff. And we could have kept our mill rate at 32.46 for the motor vehicle.
Yeah.
We are gonna go back to that probably this year because we have such a shortfall, and because we're 1 year post reval, it looks really crazy. My question to you, Drew, though, is what's interesting is when I went to the website where they have all the funding proposals, they still have our $3.2 million supplement in there, even though we, lowered it below. So I don't know if there's been any talk about what they're gonna do to maybe phase people in, or they budgeted for it 2 years ago because when the first budget came out, they would have owed us that money. So it's one of those little things. That's a big hit for us.
Yeah.
And there's others that are probably, fighting for that. We talked a little bit about through CCN.
We did,
For those
we did.
that are here, so.
Yeah.
And what about, so there was the talk about, and where does this stand? There was the talk about depreciating instead of basically using Blue Book. Where are we on that? Or is that depreciation taken off the table, at least for the moment? And we're gonna continue to value cars at their Blue Book value?
I believe that's Jack, do you have any new information on that? Otherwise, we can certainly get back to the board with more.
I just looked it up.
Go ahead.
The Blue Book thing, we're sticking with the Blue Book value at the moment. I haven't heard anything else unchanging. And then, Mayor, I'll get with you offline on that, because it sounds like you're in a specific situation, so I want to talk with you.
Yeah, it is more specific, and there's probably 20 other towns. Glastonbury is a big one too that had the same thing. But back to the Blue Book thing, though, I saw that the legislation pushed it to the October 24 grand list date. So they passed
they
this
pushed
already.
it off.
They pushed it off for a year, so starting, don't quote me on the numbers, but they're gonna have, here's the value of the car. When you register the value of the car, it's that, and then it has a depreciation value that goes out 10 years, 15 years, and.
So is it still a proposed bill? or
No,
is
I
it something
think that was approved.
Yeah.
That was an approved bill that just got delayed a year in implementation. But I think in the grand list year 2024, it's gonna be there. And that's actually not a bad thing either. I think that's good. We've seen such fluctuations on top of the $3.2 million hit that we're taking that we probably really shouldn't have put in our budget the year before. Our total motor vehicle value dropped by like 16%. So now we're, and years when I first got elected, they were raising like crazy. So yeah, it's about
What's that equate to Bristol?
$1 million. We're
We
losing,
got hit 400,000.
yeah, we're losing $1 million in revenue. And that's why we're just gonna probably make that up by putting it back up to the cap.
Did your personal property tax go way up?
Not a ton, but it did go up, and we're recovering. Our biggest,
Our motor vehicles went down 400, personal property up, but.
yeah, our biggest hit was, real estate didn't change.
Oh, yeah.
It was because we had such a rise the
Yeah,
year before.
Our increase in real estate values hurt us under the ECS
Yeah,
revised formula. So
there's a lot of moving parts when it comes to.
they're supposed to help us and they're hurting us from being successful.
Yeah, I would agree.
That's how it works, Mayor. That's how Success brings you trouble.
Yeah, I think it was disappointing though, just to comment that the task force for the motor vehicle tax, it didn't do anything. I mean, it's $1 billion worth of revenue that you can't make up.
They threw out a couple of proposals, and one of which was that, I can't remember the first one, but one of which, and to me, was totally insane. That they would change the ability of the towns on the 70% assessment of real estate. Therein, so as they eliminate, that was, if we eliminate the car tax, we'll let you, the town, okay, individually, raise your assessed value from 70% to something else to equal what you would lose, which is just a total shift
Yeah.
to the,
Which we've already seen.
to that market.
It'd be a double win.
Exactly. You're gonna, state's always good for bizarre ideas.
All right,
Fortunately, it went nowhere.
moving along.
And, I'm sorry.
We have, an emergency management update.
Yes, just a brief one. So John Field did submit a written report, which I know he is committed to do on a going forward basis. That is in your packet. John's counterpart from Dennis Region 2, Nicole Velarde. Some of you are in Region 2, some of you are in Region 5, some of you are in Region 1. And asked that I give you a gentle reminder to ensure you submit your proxy letters for 2024. You have to do it on a yearly basis for that entity for Dennis. Most municipalities designate their emergency management directors for this purpose. Region 2 specifically is also evaluating whether CEOs should be the designated voting members. Many of the CEOs themselves have asked to reevaluate the makeup of the regional emergency planning teams. And the voting rights should maybe be assigned to emergency management directors, since they kind of eat, sleep, and drink that world every day. So they're looking for some input on that. If you feel that that's appropriate, please let Nicole Velarde know if you're in Region 2. That's all I got.
Okay. All right, so Savannah is not here today, so we have pinch hitters Molly and Emily, community planning update.
Hi, thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yeah, I'm Molly Johnson. I'm community planner, and Savannah Nicole sends her regards. She's out sick today, so she wished she could be here, but couldn't make it. I'm here to provide an update about the community planning division. So we continue to provide resources to our municipalities through direct community support, as well as research on topics of interest throughout the region. An example of this is the Aquifer Protection Area workshop series that's taking place this spring. We have another session happening next week, where we'll have Assistant Director of Planning and Zoning, Alicia Carichetti from Norwalk, sharing her best practices on running the APA program. And we've had good participation with 9 out of our 15 communities with aquifer protection areas participating. And there's also several people from outside the region who have been attending the series. So once again, NVCOG's an example for the rest of the state on this. And we are encouraging more participation from our communities, and hopefully this will lead to efforts to move forward towards compliance as a region. And I'll pass it to my colleague, Emily.
Hello, everyone. Good morning. Thank you, Mr. Chairman. So I'm Emily Ritchie, community planner here at NVCOG. So community planning will be hosting a land use coffee hour focusing on short-term rental. It will be an in-person and virtual event held at the NVCOG office coffee room here. It will be on Thursday, February 29th from 10 a.m. to 11 a.m. Coffee and donuts will be provided for those attending in person. We'll be sending out the flyer within the next week. And thank you very much.
All right, any questions? Okay, environmental planning, DECD grant 300 Broad Street, Bristol, Ricardo.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. So NVCOG was awarded $3.7 million on behalf of 300 Broad Street Properties LLC within the city of Bristol during the round 18 funding round. Funding will cover the remediation costs associated with the redevelopment of the former Tice Precision Steel, USA manufacturing site. Anticipated non-state leverage is between $6 to $8 million. And will leverage somewhere around 60 plus jobs. Before we officially could accept the award, we recommend the following motion, which is to move to adopt NVCOG Resolution 2024-09, DECD certified resolution as presented.
So moved.
And I'd be very happy to second that one.
Any discussion? All those in favor? Aye.
Thank you.
Abstentions?
You don't want to vote no on that, Jeff? I'm saying either. Good stuff.
Good work, Jeff.
Yeah, very nice.
All right, Brownsfield update.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, again. As always, the agenda packet that everyone was sent has an updated project status list of all our brownfield projects. Just wanted to announce that 6771 Minerva Street is 50% completed in their construction. I spoke with the developers. They anticipate the site being complete fall 2024. Which is really, really good news with people moving in shortly after that. Other projects that are primed for commencement would be phase 2 of 698 South Main Street, Waterbury. 170 and 133rd Street have been demolished, and the team over there is working with the city, WC and the city are working to get the next phase of data collected, which will lead to remediation of the site. We also wanted to state that 280 Elm Street, all legal documents have been signed, and the borough will be commencing their cleanups spring of 2024 as well. As well as 113 and 123 Canal Street, shutting their prime for their second phase towards the end of this month. So if anyone has any questions on brownfields, please do not hesitate to reach out. Oh, real quick before I forget, ECA is opening up their supplemental RLF funding for entities that have already existing RLF. We're looking for sites that we can include in our application. These are cleanup projects. So if you guys have any projects that you think would be good candidates that we can include in our application, please reach out to me so we can include it. And then those sites will be included, if funded, those sites will be included in our upcoming RLF next year meeting. You could consider them.
Okay, question to Ricardo?
Just a quick, Ricardo, let's meet offline later on about Old Waterbury Road that could potentially fit in there if it works.
All right, Christine, we'll go back to you with the trail grant.
Yes, absolutely. So thank you, Mr. Chairman. Back in December, a memo was emailed to CEOs announcing the 2024 round of the Connecticut Deep Recreational Trails Grant Program. Many of you are already very familiar with this program. It funds a variety of trail projects ranging from planning to construction to maintenance. The COG staff can provide assistance if you are applying, like a letter of support or mapping, but we urge you to reach out to us as soon as possible so we can accommodate those requests. The application deadline is March 11th. If you're not ready for this round, it comes back every year, but this round we have an unprecedented $10 million on the table, which is very exciting. The next slide.
Is that the Larkin Bridle Trail on that slide?
I
Naugatuck,
think
Middlebury?
it is, yeah. That I got off our website. It's one of our.
I'm quite familiar with it. So,
Very.
that's right on the border of us, right there.
Yeah.
So, in addition to the general.
My folks did because we're right next to it.
Seeking permission from the NVCOG board to apply for our own rec trails grant for the Kinney Town section of the Naugatuck River Greenway. Our application would fund the hiring of a consultant to complete the planning, routing, and design of a 2.5 mile stretch of the Naugatuck River Greenway Trail that runs through the Kinney Town Dam property. This would complement the efforts to remove the dam and revitalize the property with NOAA funds, and of course, restore public access to the river. The consultant would also generate conceptual designs for connecting this trail to the existing pedestrian networks in both Seymour and Ansonia. We have letters of support from both of those communities, and we plan to work closely with them throughout this process. We anticipate asking for about $400,000, although the budget is still in development. The match will be met through activities funded under this NOAA grant already. So as you can see, the recommended motion is on the screen, but I'm happy to take any questions you may have.
We have a motion from Prospect. We have a second.
I'll second.
Thomaston. All right, any questions for Christine? Any discussion? You got two key projects here working together. I like it.
Exactly.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, opposed? Abstentions? Thank you, Christine. MSW and recycling update.
Yeah, just a really quick one, but a very exciting one. I'm thrilled to share that the town of Woodbury has concluded its trash reduction pilot and has approved a permanent program with full unit-based pricing and food scraps diversion. This monumental accomplishment would not have been possible without dedication of First Selectwoman Perkinson and the hard work of Woodbury's municipal staff. We've included a press release in your packet that covers the details of this program and the mechanics of their decision-making process. We encourage any CEO who's interested in waste reduction to study Woodbury's model and consider emulating it in your own community. Kind of let me know if you have any questions and.
All right, any questions? Okay, transportation planning, Rich Donovan.
Yes, thank you again.
Michael here?
And Mike's here. Come on, we kind of want to speak to,
Okay. Where's Michael?
over there in the corner.
Oh, there's no room. I didn't see, all right. So let's go back to item 5, financial report, Michael.
Okay, thank you. I'm just gonna share my screen, make it really easy. Okay, so, this will be the report for January 31st, 2024. I would like to know, even though it did go on your agenda packet last week, we did not fully close the books. So the net position is only showing $30,000, but we are looking at closer to 100K for the end of January. We are 58% through the year, 7 months of the fiscal year. There have been no actual unexpected funding cuts, but I know as Rick mentioned in the previous meeting or two, we are looking at a potential 1% reduction of the federal funds for the UPWP funding, which will have about 5% reduction for the remainder of the year it goes through, and we should know about that in March next month. We're hoping we'll be fine, but even though the 5%, you know, is a bit of an impact, we'll be fine. We won't really have that much of a constriction on our current budget. I mean, other than that, you know, no unexpected expenses as well. And everything's been moving smoothly. We've been working on applying for some new grants for the following this week.
All right, questions? All right, we'll go back to you, Rich, transportation acceptance. You want to accept it? Okay, let's take a motion to accept it from Thomaston.
There you go.
Second, Oxford, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? So ordered, thank you. All right, Rich.
Yes, so just a brief update on our active transportation plan. We've been talking about this for a while and moving slowly, but picking up speed on it. Elliot, who is, as you all know, is now a full-time grad student pursuing a planning degree and still working with us part-time, is just about finished with a current conditions report. And so we'll be moving into public engagement on this plan. We're very excited about the first couple steps on this. There's a survey now available for residents and anybody in your town who would like to participate. We'll be sharing this and we would ask that you do the same. We will also hold a first public meeting. It will be focused heavily on design elements and preferences of attendees. That meeting will be on Tuesday, February 20th, here at Waterbury City Hall at 6 o'clock. And so if any of you are available and would like to send your staff, we would certainly love to have you.
Okay, questions for Rich? Lots of, we'll go to Kevin and Mark.
Yes, thank you, Mr. Chairman. So this lots of project is for Elm Street in Thomaston. this section of, this lots of project will be going along Elm Street between South Main Street and East Main Street, approximately 2,400 feet in length. This will be a roadway reconstruction project. Additionally, in 2020, the Naugatuck Valley Greenway Trail, the Thomas and the Torrington Routing Feasibility Study, marked Elm Street as a location for the Naugatuck River Greenway. So in addition to a roadway reconstruction, there will be a cycle track on the eastern side of the roadway to a road diet to accommodate that. There will also be a sidewalk reconstruction along both sides, as well as drainage improvements. Now, the total, I will mention, we did take this project to public information meeting because of the nature of the change. We had a lot of participation from the public, a lot of good and constructive feedback that we have already incorporated into the project during the pre-application phase. So the estimated lots of grant amount is as you can see on your screen, is around $4.5 million. And I'll take any questions. The recommended motion is to adopt this into the lots of program.
I'm happy to. We have a motion on the screen, or?
I'll make that motion.
And like Jeff, I'll
Okay,
be
we have-
glad to second.
Plymouth and Thomas.
Very happy for both of you.
Will I, Cal?
I've actually ridden my bike through there. I do have one quick question though. What's the 10% incidentals? What is that? I mean,
Well, basically, what, as part of the LOTSIP program, the state provides money, at low bid, and then they add in 10% for incidentals, 10% contingency. Some of the incidentals are things that might come up during construction that you didn't count on during design. Construction inspection would be funded under incidentals and contingency.
so that doesn't go under.
Right, and it is solely for those purposes that come up that you haven't counted on, during the design. Sometimes take little advantage of the extra 20% that is being provided. Sometimes it's needed, something comes up during construction that just wasn't known during design and you have to do something. But primarily it's that those funds are being used for, construction inspection, because.
And that's expensive.
It can be expensive.
It can be.
LOTSIP is a little bit less onerous for inspection than a state federal program project. So, sometimes, towns, and again, it depends on the complexity of the project. Sometimes you need to have an inspector out there 100% of the time. Sometimes it's a relatively minor project that, you can go with, less, continued oversight.
We do encourage towns though to use that incidental funding for inspection, make sure the projects are done well because the money is there to do it.
Yeah, make sure there's not on Hickory Hill, there's a problem with the pavement.
Used it all.
So, it is money that's made available, and we in the state encourage the towns to actually take advantage of it and use it.
Thanks.
All right, all those in favor of resolution 2024-11? Aye. Opposed? Carries an aye. Abstentions? All right, motion carries. Congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you, one and all.
Let's go to item B, Constitution Boulevard.
Yeah, Mr. Chairman, this is a project that just came in. It's, sort of a time sensitive, and that's why we're sort of following this approach as opposed to, going through a little bit longer vetting. The city of Shelton, Mayor can maybe talk a little bit more about it if you'd like. It wants to extend Constitution Boulevard between Bridgeport Avenue out to Route 108, to really accommodate economic development in that area. They received money from the state to start the project. The phase one is under construction and will extend the road from Bridgeport Avenue into what's called the Moss parcel, which is an area of 70 acres, I think it is 80. That's prime for redevelopment. What they're asking for here, with the LOTSIP was to extend the road out to 108, but again, because of timing, to meet the schedule for the developer or the business that's looking to locate there. They're asking for us to allocate LOTSIP immediately for what's being called phase two, which would extend it from, their current terminus of the project to a cul-de-sac that would actually get it right into the Moss property and feed that. The ultimate plan is to extend it out to 108 but again, that's a little bit, few years down the road, so try to accommodate now to get this development in, they're looking to add it to lots of programs to, get funded. The design on this phase two has already essentially been done. And they'd be ready to go pretty quickly. And, like I said, the intent is to meet the development needs of that parcel. So what we're asking is the board to consider adding it to the program. We'll put together an application with the city's consultant and send that up to DOT for consideration.
So, Lori, you want to say anything?
I think you covered it all.
Okay,
So this project's already underway.
It's
not certain, but you're.
The first
This project?
Oh, yeah, it takes us to an 80-acre parcel the city owns,
Yeah.
which every acre is under contract with 4 different manufacturers. We rezone the land to accommodate manufacturing, which will include a 300,000 square foot facility called Bigelow Tea. We'll be relocating there, and there's other smaller companies that have also contracted, and we gotta get them to the land.
Bigelow Tea's already in Shelton, aren't they?
No, that used to be Telly Tea.
Oh, okay.
is this a mini industrial park or separate pieces for all of them?
No, one piece.
One piece?
So moved. Second.
Okay, any questions or discussion on resolution 24-12? All those in favor?
Aye.
Yes. Abstentions? Motion carries. Good work.
Yeah, thank you. It's worth you coming today.
Yeah.
Votes, you gotta look in their eyes.
Really, today, he's working the room.
I was waiting to see who was doing yours.
Treated us to the donuts, he sweetened you up. Oh, yeah, you noticed that.
All right, item 12. Thomas.
We did, Thomas. We're good. Second.
All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?